Alright, here we are in the game. The first match of the last quarterfinals for the ZOTAC North American Cup. And I know we're kind of beating a dead horse by talking about this, guys, but again, I really want to drive home that we will miss this tournament. It's been a lot of fun, and Base Trade TV would not be here without it. But rather than lament and woe, we celebrate the last one, as we've got some sick matchups coming. And speaking of sick matchups, we've got one underway, spawning in the top left corner of Heavy Rain. He is coming from Europe, the evil Korean villain known as Jjakji for the team Mind Sanity. Oh, and I forgot I was going to do Twitters. Find this bad guy on Twitter. Jjakji. His opponent, though, the heroic, the majestic, the magnificent hero. He is Canadian, he's homegrown, and he's the only North American player in the round of 8. Give it up for Hendralisk! From Complexity Gaming, and you can find him on Twitter at Cole_Hendralisk. Best of luck to him! Now, all joking and not real bias aside, guys, I think this will be a pretty fun matchup. Jjakji showed us last time that he's willing to play mech, or at least try playing mech, experiment with whatever your point of view is. On Heavy Rain. It's a great map for it more than anything else. Betrayus, who is one of the best Zerg players I've had the pleasure of casting outside of the Korean scene, didn't stand a chance against it. And what was really scary was, it wasn't the fact that Jjakji played mech. He opened with Hellion Banshee and just wiped the floor. Now, I don't know if Hendralisk was perhaps studying up on his opponent, watching the stream, hanging out, waiting, but one thing's for certain, Hendralisk is another really good player. Now, as much as I would love to herald and praise him and talk about his accomplishments, one of the coolest ones to a recent time, of course, is his travel over to WCG to represent Canada after winning the national finals. The problem is, Hendralisk is kind of known for choking in tournaments, which is nothing to really play against his character. That's just something you work out with more and more practice, and this is his first ever ZOTAC Cup, much less like a big name tournament or anything like that. So hopefully he can keep a calm head, keep it cool. He does get down on himself. If you guys watch his stream, he blames himself for way too much. But I know he's got it in him to go toe-to-toe with Jjakji, and my fingers are crossed that he can take this home. But again, I reiterate, Jjakji is a player who is like 50-3 on the European ladder or something insane. Like, he's pretty much untouched. And in tournaments, it's not too different. So we'll see how he fares up. Hendralisk did pull off of gas entirely, so just necessitating a little bit of speed with the Mailbug boost on top of the Lings. I don't know that a speedling on him will get the trick done. Jjakji does take a while to get his wall up on this map, and it does have a slightly larger choke than others, so if this hits at the right time, Hendralisk may be able to pick off a couple of units, but realistically, I don't know how well that's going to work, because Jjakji, again, going to go in for that factory. Second gas probably is a Banshee as well. In fact, this is like methodically the exact same thing we saw last time versus Betrayus. All he has to do is put the starport over here, and it's like he's a robot playing the exact same moves, with the pixels have to match up in the exact right locations. Bit of a joke, of course, but still, Jjakji is a very strong player. This opener is pretty darn good. It's pretty generic, though. Hellion Banshee, forget the mech follow-up to it for a second, which is hard enough to do, but Hellion Banshee alone is pretty darn good. Lings may be able to pick off a couple of, he spooked him. I was going to say, Hendralisk may be able to pick off a couple of SCVs here, but not going for any sort of all-in, just getting that speed defensively in case Reapers were coming, or perhaps Hellions to deal with him a little bit better. Will find himself unable to really collide or do much with this wall. The Marine in the bunker will keep these Zerglings back for sure and keep the SCVs alive. And, wow, okay, so it's a whole barracks space above where it was last time, but still going to be the Hellion Banshee opener. Still mining gas and not pulling off of it. Of course, Cloak is very expensive and so are Banshees, but I wouldn't be too at all shocked to see him go for mech. Now, again, Hendralisk is a player who uses Ro8 drops. Not just as like cheesy once-in-a-while tactics, but sometimes as part of his regular TVZ build. And if he's not going to go for the Baneling Mutalisk, you know, the typical anti-bio mine composition, and if he were to go for like roaches and just do some drops, I think that would work fantastic against a mech player, because until you've got a lot of Banshees or a lot of Hellbats out, siege tanks can't really fend against the roaches unless they're hidden behind a wall that sturdily keeps the, you know, the units back. For now, though, no quick third, a proper wall off here at the choke at the natural. The Roach Warren has actually been not exposed on the front lines. Kind of like this move, actually. Not the biggest deal in the world, but still. Finesse. Hellions can be limited on what they can do. What are the Lings attacking? Oh, the rocks. Jjakji scans the main, sees the quicker layer, even sees the spire coming down. So Hendralisk may be unaware of what's coming, but in fact goes for the Vengeful Sacks. As predicted, cancels the spire. Oh, Hendralisk, you crazy guy. Looks like he will be trying to implement some roach drops this game. Now, as good and cool and as nerdy as I'm making them out to be, the problem is they're not going to be out very fast, and he's going to need these roaches to defend and keep the Hellions at bay for the time being as well. So it's not like he can necessarily hide them and you know, surprise attack those. You also have to fly quite a long distance across heavy rain to get there, but elevatoring them, straight up dropping them on top of tanks, we'll see what he chooses to do. When Hellbats are out though, they're pretty good at defending against roach drops, and then, again, the Banshees will be available, but Widowmines are coming down here. Jjakji is preparing for spires, knowing that he doesn't have. Whoa, that Banshee gets away with 5 health. Queen is going to die here, but the Hellions will as well. Somewhere in there was. First blood. I don't know that mess. Anyways, the point of what I was going to talk about, though, guys, is he's getting Widowmines. He's probably going to get a turret or two. He thinks Mutalisks are coming. But oh my god, it's not just Vengeful Sacks. It's a Nidus Worm, too. Hendralisk is officially making this game somewhere between 10 and 20% cooler. Just with the tactics he's choosing to implement here. And of course, none of this is going to be known to Josh. Oh, he scans the Nidus! Oh, that is going to suck. Now, I don't think this is going to stop Hendralisk, because I don't think he was using it to, or he was planning to sneak it into the main. I think he was planning to just put it in the front lines as a reinforcement point, but still, the Overlords with their Vengeful Sacks are coming. It's not like his plan has been completely screwed up by this. Some Banelings were coming down, but were forced to retreat away from the Hellions for now. We'll draw the attention completely away from this army, marching down the middle of the map, and guys, this is quite an army marching down the middle of the map. Let's not forget, Widowmines is going to make this really dangerous for the Overlords as well. They won't one-shot an Overlord, but they will do a ton of damage to it. Banelings morphing in too, can drop on top of the Hellbats and do a lot of damage in that regard, as they're fantastic at dealing damage to light units, but looks like the Banshee is going to scare this off, and Nidus Worm is still going to come down in the main anyways. So again, like I said, not going to use it to catch him off guard, but more of a reinforcement thing. Roach is going to be dropped right on top of this, so the Widowmines go off on top of the Overlords, but it's not enough. The tanks are getting busted to pieces, and the Hellbats are out, but there's not enough of them. There is, in fact, a Banshee, but the Queens are going to try and deal with it. There's Cloak not available because he decided to go for Widowmines. He decided to go for those tanks, and the Roaches are on top of Jjakji's production. The Overlords are goddamn low, but they're not going to matter. It's the Roaches that he has to clean up. Backing away from these 2 siege tanks, Jjakji's going to give up, or sorry, Hendralisk is going to give up a little bit of ground, but moving forward with another Roach drop. Can the SCVs get in there in time to repair? It looks like that's not the case, and with 1 tank to defend, a lot of these SCVs are going to go down, but the Roaches are choked here in the natural. This orbital command center is in fact burning down, but it's the 3rd one, not the natural, and Jjakji has almost no mining. In fact, he's got minimal mining going on right now. This is not looking good for our Red Terran player, but Jjakji is not out of this yet. He's still got a tank or 2. If he holds, he's got mules to fall back on. For Hendralisk, this was a pretty all-in attack, but I don't know if Jjakji can necessarily hold. The Roaches can still be reinforced through the Nidus Worm as we see more of them coming out here. We've even got creeps being spread, and Vikings have been landed on the ground. Hendralisk needs to pull these Queens back, though. Not so much because he's scared of losing them, but because they're going to be great at soaking tank fire, allowing the Roaches to push forward. But slamming into the front door here as well. A couple SCVs have been diligently, heroically holding the line. But of course, Hendralisk doesn't have to rely on that. He's got the Nidus Worm. He's still making more units behind this. He's transitioning into a Spire even while this is going on. So he's going to have Mutalisks to follow this up. We got more Overlords coming. Jjakji says, screw it. Good game is called, and Hendralisk will take game number 1 in this best of 3.